Now, the European Union and British-Swedish drug maker AstraZeneca have failed to make a breakthrough in a dispute over supply shortages of COVID-19 vaccine to the bloc. The company said in a statement that it had a constructive conversation with the EU about scaling up production. AstraZeneca had sparked anger by saying it would deliver 60% fewer doses of the vaccine than promised in the first quarter of this year. Now, rollout of the vaccine has been slower than expected across the European Union. And here in Germany, frustration is growing.
Accessing this vaccination centre in Brandenburg in eastern Germany is harder than it might look. To get an appointment for a COVID-19 jab, you need staying power. Only those determined enough to get past the overloaded hotline will get an appointment. Like Manfred and Herta Grunberg. Both are over 80 and belong to Germany's #1 high-risk group. Our daughter got the appointment for us, but it took her a long time to get through and arrange the time. As in other vaccination centres in Germany, things are moving slowly. Many booths remain empty because there's not enough vaccine. Only 70 people a day can be immunised instead of the planned 600. The situation is even worse in other regions. This centre in Cologne is not even open. Appointments are being made for February, but it's not an easy process.
I'm not just calling them to be kept on hold for hours, and then you don't even get an appointment. My appointment was made online by my son, right on the first day, in the morning. The hotline in North Rhine-Westphalia is overwhelmed.
Other countries are moving faster. Israel, for example, has already vaccinated almost half its population, about 4 million people. Britain has immunised 10%, the US 7%. Germany has vaccinated around 2 million people, 2% of the population, in line with many other countries. Germany's Social Democrats say that's not good enough. Israel, Britain and the US are all making progress. But there are a lot of problems in the European Union, and we need to address them quickly. Vaccine manufacturers contracted to supply EU member states are now reporting production delays. Not good news for this facility in Brandenburg or others around Germany. Filling these chairs is likely to take some time.
Let's get more on the story with our political correspondent, Thomas Sparrow. Hi, Thomas. As we saw there, Germany is lagging behind other countries when it comes to vaccinating. Is it clear at this point why that is?
There are certain elements, Sumi, that can help explain why that is. But first, you obviously have to understand how the process works, because it's a very complex process altogether. It's sometimes forgotten that the procurement of the vaccine does not happen at a local or a national level. It is actually coordinated by the European Commission, then distributed to each European Union member country, depending on the number of inhabitants. And then each country, so in this case Germany, distributes then the vaccine to the different states, and the different states are then in charge of carrying out the process of making the appointments, as we saw, for example, in a report. And in all of those stages throughout the process, there has been problems. If you look specifically at what has happened here in Germany, there have been logistical problems. There have been individual oversights as well. Some of the states have complained that the distribution is too slow, that they're not getting enough vaccines. But this obviously is something that also has to do with the fact that at a European level, there is this vaccine shortage. So there are different ways to understand this problem, but it is clear that it's not only a sign of hope, as it was presented by the German government, as it was presented by German officials. It's also definitely becoming a big headache for German officials, and one that they want to make sure that they resolve soon.
What about another headache, this dispute between the European Union and AstraZeneca? How is that affecting Germany?
It is certainly a big headache, but again, it's important to understand this from a broader perspective. It's not something that only affects Germany. Because the procurement is being done at a European Union level, that means that the discussions are not being carried out by one member country with the pharmaceutical company, but by the European Commission with the respective pharmaceutical company. The problem is that the European Union had put a lot of hope when it comes to the AstraZeneca vaccine, and the member countries obviously as well, because it has been reported that the vaccine is cheaper, that it's easier to store. So basically, they were hoping that this vaccine, alongside the others that have already been approved, could actually help to reduce that shortage that is being discussed all across the continent.
And here in Germany, what are authorities doing to improve the situation?
The Social Democrats, for example, we saw that in our report, are calling for a clearer plan. They're calling for better communication, for example, between federal and state authorities. And this is something that may well be discussed in the next few days. The Social Democrats called, for example, for a so-called vaccination summit. And in fact, we just heard now from the health minister, the German health minister, Jens Spahn, that they may well be this vaccination summit because Germany, according to him, still has around 10 more weeks of vaccination shortage. So there is clearly a lot of pressure for authorities to try and find out, A, what the problem is, and B, how they can tackle this problem appropriately.
Our political correspondent, Thomas Sparrow, thank you for bringing us up to date. Now, another country suffering because of a shortage of vaccine in Europe is Serbia. The country's president recently compared the situation to the sinking of the Titanic as rich nations try to save themselves at the expense of poor ones. Even so, Serbia has managed to launch a mass vaccination drive for its people, but it has done so not with the help of the EU, but with the help of China.
Even during the pandemic, customers still come in for their coffee. Bojan Djordjevic has run this cafe in Belgrade for 3 years. A topic often discussed by patrons is which vaccine is the best. US company Pfizer and Russia have so far only delivered a few thousand doses. China has already sent 1 million. Would I choose to get the Chinese vaccine? Chinese people have been getting it. They wouldn't be harming their own people. Maybe I'll take Pfizer's vaccine. They are an economically strong company. It's a bit of a dilemma for me. Serbia's government has promised to buy various vaccines from providers all over the world. It's then up to citizens to decide which one they want to get. I'll get the Chinese or Russian vaccine, not the Pfizer one. If I had to choose, I'd take the Russian one. The Russian one. I like Russia. I have Russian friends. I trust them. Who to trust? There's a lack of detailed information about the various vaccines. That's why many Serbian doctors are hesitant with their advice. I get at least 10 calls a day. People asking whether they should get vaccinated, and if so, using which vaccine. We only have information on the Pfizer vaccine. I just don't know enough about the other ones. No one seems sure, but plenty of people are driven by their fear of getting sick. Older citizens can receive the vaccine at a total of 200 special sites, like at this exhibition center in Belgrade.
Serbia purchased 8 million vaccines from Western suppliers, from Russia and China, but only China can deliver millions of doses of COVID-19 vaccines in a short period of time. So China's reputation on the Balkan is on the rise.
In the meantime, Bojan Djordjevic has made his decision. Many of my customers who come here know more than I do about vaccines. So now I have decided to get the Chinese one. Like many Serbians, they take the pragmatic view that the best vaccine is the most available one. And here, China seems to have won the race.
Here's a look now at some other developments in the pandemic. Portugal will suspend all flights to and from Brazil beginning Friday. That's due to the new strain of the coronavirus circulating there. Vietnam has reported its first community transmission of the virus in almost 8 weeks. The country has had strict quarantine measures throughout the pandemic. And the Cannes Film Festival has been moved from May to July in the hopes of being able to hold the event on the French Riviera in person.